about 1989, 1990, I had a call from my agent to say I'd been chosen to work with Vivienne Westwood. She was launching the Davis Street store in Mayfair, and it was a press conference. So I had to go meet her and her team for fittings.
In the 1980s, I was a Master of Arts student in London, and I used to earn a living as a motorbike dispatch rider. And I knew of World's End, but I spotted Nostalgia of Mud as it just opened in 1983. But it just coincided with me as a student having a project in my university course on interior design. So something like Nostalgia of Mud, I just turned up one day on my motorbike with my SLR camera and just said, you know, look, I'm doing this research, I'm a student. Can I take some photographs?
Vivienne Westwood was a woman who I'd admired, not just for her fashion, but her beliefs. And I was overwhelmed when I met her. And each garment that I tried on, she was very meticulous on how it looked and discussed it in detail with her team. You know, how was the fabric when I walked, when I moved? She was just really quiet and reserved, just a really lovely person.
As a student studying the history of design and studying, you know, contemporary design like that, it was part of my dream to own some of these garments, but it always had to be at the cheaper end. So from the World's End shop, from the Pirate collection, I bought one of the tunic tops that has, well, it was called the Aztec print at the time. I don't know whether it has a different name now. And then from Nostalgia of Mud, I managed to buy a toga dress, but I couldn't afford the toga dress with a print. I had to buy a toga dress that didn't have a print. And that's been a big regret that I didn't get a print. I just couldn't afford it.
In the 90s, a lot of designers paid you by giving you their clothes, and I was really lucky because after the press launch, I was able to keep the outfit. Vivienne said, you know what, I like it, which I did. So I've had it for a long, long time. I've worn it to parties, events, non-stop, and it's still in beautiful condition, which I think says a lot about her design and how the clothes were made.
I think her interest in history and her curiosity around of cultures and art and design from all different eras, I think is very evident in her work. In a way, I think of her as a scholar, and I think that's what gave her work a uniqueness, but also a sort of gravitas. It had an underpinning, and with all her work, you can always find its historical legacy.
The fabrics she used were like luxurious, and they were draped beautifully on the body, and you just felt really special when you wore them, especially the velvet suit. Whenever I went out, it was a crowd stopper, and I absolutely loved that because people would come up to you and say, wow, is that Vivienne Westwood? And they were just beautiful clothes. They brought out your personality. I mean, I've worked with various designers over the years, but hers were really special. When you put them on, you felt amazing, you know, and when you went out in front of a crowd, you know, you just got fabulous attention, which I loved.
Her clothes right from the start always had a message, and she never ever lost that message that she embedded in her clothes. It's like her DNA, her ancestry has run through every single collection she's ever done. You can find an aspect of who she was and what she stood for.
They were like, to me, works of art. It's like if you go to an exhibition, you can immediately, you know, whether it's a Dali or a Hockney, you know when you see a Vivienne Westwood. And to me, she's an icon. And I believe her clothes will just inspire future designers.
Starting off in at 430 Kings Road at World's End to ending up being a global brand is an incredible journey in the fashion industry. I think that makes her very, very unusual. And then it has to be her ability to break the rules, to break the conventions. Even when a collection might look rather conventional, there's always aspects to it that break those rules of what a garment should look like. There was always some little quirk or something that just made you think, this person has a creative understanding of garments that is only her. And that, I think, is what makes her special.